Now, forensic and crime expert Calvin Rafadi joins us for more. Calvin, a very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. I mean, Johannesburg's new CCTV bylaw has been criticized for, one, being too restrictive, and some have even called it backward. What do you make of it?
Good evening, Paul, and good evening to your viewers. Maybe perhaps let's start by saying, this is strictly regulated by the POPI Act, the Protection of Personal Information Act of 2013. So, the law is the law and not what it ought to be. So it's regulated by this POPI Act. And what do we mean by that? You know that even when your camera in a private home is overseeing your neighbor's house, you are not even allowed. You are prohibiting against the regulation. So again, we come now to the point whereby a crime has been committed. Now, if you stand in court, the evidence before court, there's what we call collection of digital evidence for court purposes. It is very crucial how also the evidence is being collected. Now, the sharing of certain information or certain things whereby we can see that criminals are there and they were acting, in terms of stealing or committing a particular crime, and you take that to court and it is not properly collected by the law enforcement, that tends to amount to contamination of evidence, and many of such cases, they get thrown out of court or even the cases get withdrawn.
So in line with the new bylaw, for one, what would it mean, for instance, if someone gets hijacked in front of their residential premises and has perhaps a child kidnapped in the process? Does it mean that the information cannot be shared? And how much does it slow the pace? I mean, surely is it circumstance based, or is it just a blanket approach to every single crime?
Yeah, so basically what will happen, if there's any incident that will take place, even in front of your home, the police are the ones, or the law enforcement, who must come and obtain that particular footage with a particular case number. So that is a good collection for evidence in a courtroom. Because with the criminal case, the case is as good as proved beyond reasonable doubt. Now, many of the defense, they will come back and say, no, this is Photoshop, or maybe artificial intelligence was used. And once they create that doubt, then the case gets thrown out of court. Now, we've seen that in Joburg, there was a partnership that was signed between security companies, the JMPD, and including the SABC. That was signed in Alexander last year in October at the stadium.
Yes.
Now, it gives private securities to go and register with the municipality on all the cameras that they will be in use of, even in the public space. But again, now we're speaking of, in terms of concerns and signs. Now, in any area that you enter where there are cameras, you'll either have a board that says, smile, you are on camera, or be aware that this place is guarded on camera. Then what POPI Act says, in terms of the law. Then entering those premises, then that information is also protected. Should any crime take place, then the police are the ones who will come and obtain such footage. Now, there is also a command center in Joburg, whereby all cameras, including the gantries on the freeway, they are all linked to that command center. Now, with private homes, it is not interlinked. So that's why they are saying that everybody has to register their cameras, so that the municipality feel that even when you're going to oversee at the public space, your camera then should be linked to the particular command center, should you be given that permission to do so.
But residents are up in arms about this, saying that it could perhaps open the door to misuse of information and corruption which could then include financial gain. The team that needs to be in charge of this needs to be top-notch, of a high caliber, and not corrupt. How will those concerns be managed with this process? And what would it mean, for instance, for the role of the CPF in some communities?
Yes, so that's why they've opened up a room for all the CPF, including private securities, that they need to register their CCTV cameras so that everything can be controlled in this particular command center. We've seen that sharing of certain information, which is very crucial, and it prohibits, people that are acting against, with the POPI Act, whereby certain footages are shared, and like I said, you go to court and the case it gets dismissed. Now, the sharing of information, it's also very crucial. Do you know that even when you get into an e-hailing, let's say a transport, some of those transports, they've got cameras, they can even record your voice. And if that footage is being used in court to say a crime was committed, the people were not given consent, to give consent to say, we are allowed to be recorded through your video and your voice, and, sharing of that information again. Because even some of the people, they share such information on social media for financial gains themselves. You get influencers who get certain videos that are very sensitive and also inhumane, and they make money out of those videos by sharing them or posting them on their social platform. But what I'm saying is, for court purpose to sort out the crime, you must prove it beyond reasonable doubt, and you must obtain that footage or that digital evidence for court purpose legally so.
So would you consider this a step in the right direction in the fight against crime?
Yes, indeed, I would consider that. That's why I said the law is the law and not what is ought to be. So this is regulated by POPI Act. Anybody who now feels that even in their private space, they need to, oversee in the public space, they can do so, but they first need to register. If they are not registered, it becomes a problem. Now, with the CPOs and the private security companies, they mustn't get confused with this, because already they are catered in that partnership with the law enforcement.
Very well. Thank you so much for weighing in on this matter. Wrapping up that conversation with forensic and crime expert Calvin Rafadi.